Imagine for just a moment that every thought you entertain is a seed, invisible, silent, but destined to bloom into the garden of your reality. Most people, however, never stop to ask what they're planting. They scatter seeds of doubt, fear, and scarcity, and then stand surprised when the harvest they reap is one of struggle and lack. But those who pause, those who choose their thoughts as a master gardener selects the finest seed, discover something extraordinary that the mind, properly directed, is the most powerful wealth-building instrument known to man. My friends, wealth is not first earned with the hands, but with the mind. The money you hold is merely a reflection of the mindset you cultivate. So today, let us embark on this simple yet profound journey to transform the way we think so we may transform the way we live. The first truth is this: we become what we think about. That timeless phrase, uttered by philosophers and echoed by Earl Nightingale himself, is the key to all transformation. The human mind is a fertile soil. Whatever we consistently plant, whether thoughts of success or failure, will grow with astonishing accuracy. Those who fix their minds upon prosperity attract the conditions for prosperity. Those who dwell in limitation invite limitation's steady hand. Your thoughts are architects, building the house you will inevitably inhabit. So, ask yourself, what are you constructing moment by moment in the workshop of your mind? The second truth is that attitude shapes opportunity. People often believe wealth is reserved for the lucky or the well-connected. But wealth in its truest form is a byproduct of attitude. A calm, confident expectancy rooted in gratitude and service. When you meet each day not with complaint, but with curiosity, not with fear, but with faith, you activate a law as old as time, like attracts like. The person who gives their best, regardless of circumstance, finds the world conspiring to return that effort multiplied. You cannot control all outcomes, but you can always control your attitude. And in that simple truth lies your fortune. The third truth reminds us that goals are the compass of the prosperous mind. Without direction, even the most powerful ship drifts aimlessly across the sea. So too with the human spirit. A clearly defined purpose channels energy. It transforms vague desire into focused drive. Earl Nightingale once said, "People with goals succeed because they know where they're going." Write down what you seek in vivid detail and hold it before your mind each day. You'll find opportunities begin to assemble themselves, resources appear, and coincidences align, not by magic, but by the law of intention. Fourth, discipline turns dreams into destiny. Many dream of wealth, but few are willing to do the quiet, unseen work that wealth requires. Discipline is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. It is in the early hours of study, the consistency of saving, the courage to take one more step after failure, that fortunes are built. The disciplined mind refuses to surrender to impulse or distraction. It keeps its gaze fixed upon the vision. Remember, the world bends for the man or woman who refuses to bend their will. Finally, true wealth begins with service. The richest lives are those built on contribution. Money flows toward value, and value flows from meeting the needs of others. The moment you ask, "How can I serve more? How can I solve greater problems?" you open the floodgates of abundance. Wealth is not hoarded. It is circulated, earned through the constant exchange of ideas, energy, and goodwill. Serve more people, serve them better, and prosperity will follow as naturally as dawn follows night. So as you leave here today, remember, your fortune is not waiting out there. It is waiting in here. Transform your mindset, and your money, your life, your world will transform with it. There comes a time in every person's life when they pause long enough to wonder why some rise while others remain still. Why do some seem to turn every obstacle into opportunity, while others crumble under the same weight? The answer, though hidden in plain sight, is not found in luck, nor in privilege, nor in chance. It is found within the silent workshop of the mind. The truth is simple yet profound. We live in a world not of circumstances, but of thoughts. The conditions of our lives mirror the conditions of our minds. What we think about, we bring about. Our outer world is nothing more than a reflection of our inner conversation. If we change that conversation, we change everything that follows. The mind, you see, is the greatest creative power known to man. It is the invisible engine behind every act, every invention, every fortune, and every failure. You and I were gifted with this extraordinary instrument, a mechanism capable of shaping destiny itself. But like any powerful tool, it demands direction. Left unattended, it runs wild, building structures of fear and limitation. Properly guided, it constructs palaces of prosperity, health, and peace. And so the question stands, what are we allowing to take root within this sacred space? Each thought we hold is a seed, invisible at first, yet destined to sprout. Thoughts of fear yield insecurity, thoughts of gratitude yield abundance. The law cannot be cheated. Every harvest, whether bitter or sweet, began with a single idea planted long ago. Yet most people wander through life as accidental gardeners. They toss seeds of complaint, jealousy, and doubt without awareness, and then wonder why weeds choke the soil of their ambition. They forget that no one can plant for them. No one can think for them. Every human being is the sole custodian of their mental field. To transform one's life, one must first assume full responsibility for what one allows to flourish within. This is not a task of grand gestures, but of quiet vigilance. For what we permit in thought, we eventually permit in reality. Now consider the nature of the mind. It cannot hold two opposing images at once. You cannot dwell on poverty and expect wealth. You cannot nurture resentment and expect joy. The mind is faithful, obedient, and precise. Feed it images of success, and it will find ways to bring them forth. Feed it fear, and it will build walls instead of bridges. It is not the world that dictates our limitations. It is our own mental blueprint. The person who sees themselves as capable, worthy, and abundant will walk differently, speak differently, and act differently than one who does not. And those differences, though subtle at first, compound into destiny. This is why transformation begins not with the hands, but with the head. You cannot earn with effort what you have not yet accepted in thought. Wealth, success, peace, these are conditions that emerge from a state of mind first. The poor man who thinks richly soon finds himself drawn to ideas, people, and actions that reflect his new awareness. The wealthy man who thinks poorly eventually sabotages his fortune until his reality matches his belief. The principle is immutable. We live from the inside out. The treasure we seek is never buried in the ground. It is buried in consciousness, waiting to be uncovered. To transform the mind, one must first observe it. Begin by becoming aware of the dominant thoughts that flow through the day. Do they build or break? Do they lift or limit? Then begin to replace them with their higher counterparts. Where once you said, "I can't," now declare, "I can learn." Where once you saw failure, now see feedback. The mind, like muscles, strengthens with repetition. Each positive thought is a weight lifted, each act of gratitude a step closer to mastery. Over time, the current of thought begins to shift, and with it the current of life. Understand this: we are not victims of fate, but architects of it. The blueprint lies within the thoughts we entertain most often. A mind steeped in possibility finds evidence of it everywhere. A mind trapped in fear finds only reasons to remain still. It is not the world that conspires against us, but our own imagination misused. The moment we decide to think differently, deliberately, constructively, courageously, we set in motion forces that begin to rearrange our world. We begin to attract ideas, encounters, and opportunities aligned with our new pattern. Life responds to the thinker, so the challenge is not to labor harder, but to think higher. Guard the gateway of your mind with the same diligence you would guard your home. Refuse entry to thoughts unworthy of the life you seek. For in time, the unseen becomes seen, the imagined becomes actual, and the invisible thoughts of today become the visible circumstances of tomorrow. Every moment of life presents a choice, not of circumstance, but of response. The winds of fortune and challenge blow upon us all, yet it is not the strength of the storm, but the set of the sail that determines the direction of our journey. Attitude is that sail. It is the invisible hand that guides us through both calm seas and raging tempests. It is the lens through which we interpret our world, shaping every decision, reaction, and opportunity that follows. When the attitude is right, no obstacle can truly hinder. When it is wrong, no advantage can truly help. Success, prosperity, and peace are not gifts of chance. They are reflections of the inner posture with which one meets life. Consider for a moment the difference between two individuals standing before the same challenge. One sees a problem, the other a possibility. One sighs in resignation, the other smiles in determination. Yet the facts are identical, only the attitude differs. And that difference, subtle at first glance, multiplies its effects with each passing choice. The one who views life through the lens of optimism, gratitude, and faith begins to attract circumstances aligned with growth. They speak differently, act decisively, and inspire confidence in those around them. Doors open for such a person not by magic, but by magnetism. For people, like conditions, are drawn to those who radiate positive expectancy. Attitude is not merely a mood, it is a philosophy of living. It is the quiet conviction that no matter what happens, one remains captain of the soul. It transforms adversity into instruction, delay into preparation, and failure into foundation. Those who cultivate a right attitude do not deny reality, they redefine it. When faced with difficulty, they ask not why me, but what can I learn? What strength can I draw forth from this experience? And by asking better questions, they summon better answers. Their minds remain clear while others cloud over in complaint. This clarity allows them to see the path where others see only walls. It must be understood that attitude is not inherited, it is chosen. Every day begins with a blank slate upon which we write our perspective. Some fill it with discouragement, convinced that the world conspires against them. Others inscribe hope, confident that each sunrise carries new opportunity. Over time, these daily choices form habits, and those habits shape character. And character, being destiny in motion, ensures that the person of cheerful disposition finds themselves in circumstances that match their outlook. It is not the event, but our interpretation of it, that dictates its power over us. When we meet life with gratitude, we activate unseen laws of increase. A thankful heart multiplies blessings because it notices them. The ungrateful mind, blind to abundance, walks past gold while lamenting dust. Gratitude sharpens perception. It teaches the eyes to see value where others see void. And in seeing value, one adds value. Those who are grateful work with greater care, speak with greater kindness, and serve with greater excellence. The world, recognizing this quality, responds in kind. Opportunities, relationships, and prosperity flow naturally towards such individuals. Likewise, a calm and confident attitude repels fear. Worry weakens the spirit while faith fortifies it. Those who walk in calm assurance send forth a signal of stability, and stability is sought after in every endeavor, business, leadership, and friendship alike. The person who maintains composure in crisis becomes a pillar for others, and through that role finds advancement and reward. Calmness is not the absence of difficulty, it is mastery over reaction. When one refuses to panic, the mind remains capable of creative solutions. Where the anxious falter, the composed prevail. The essence of a prosperous attitude lies also in service. The individual who meets each task with enthusiasm, each customer with respect, each colleague with goodwill, multiplies their worth in every interaction. Their work becomes a reflection of their inner quality, and excellence, being rare, commands attention. People remember not only what is done, but how it is done. A cheerful word, a patient tone, a sincere effort. These are currencies of the prosperous soul. They purchase trust, loyalty, and opportunity, often beyond measure. To maintain such an attitude requires awareness. Life will test it daily, through disappointments, delays, and discouragements. Yet every test is an invitation to reaffirm one's power of choice. Will you respond as victim or victor? Will you curse the darkness or light a lamp? The person who consistently chooses the higher road soon discovers that circumstances begin to bend in their favor. Not because the world has changed, but because their view of it has. Attitude, like a compass, determines direction long before the destination is seen. And so, every thought, every reaction, every spoken word becomes a brushstroke in the portrait of our lives. Choose them well. Nurture an attitude of hope, gratitude, and purpose, and the world will echo back the same. For while we cannot control the tides, we can always adjust our sails. And in that single act lies the secret to navigating life's vast and unpredictable sea. Every great accomplishment began not in the hands, but in the heart and mind of one who knew where they were going. Before a single step was taken, before a single tool was lifted, a clear image existed, a destination vivid and unwavering. Goals are the compass that gives direction to our days and meaning to our efforts. Without them, we drift like a ship without a rudder, swayed by every current of distraction and doubt. With them we move forward with purpose, energy, and confidence, knowing that each action, no matter how small, is drawing us nearer to a definite end. The mind, once armed with a clear objective, becomes a magnet, attracting the people, opportunities, and resources needed to bring that vision into being. A goal is not merely a wish. Wishes float idly upon the wind. Goals are planted deep in the soil of conviction. They are precise, deliberate, and backed by the resolve to see them realized. A man or woman without a goal wakes each morning reactive, tossed by circumstances. One with a goal rises intentional, guided by an inner map. It is the difference between wandering and journeying. The wanderer walks in circles. The traveler moves toward a chosen horizon. Every successful life, whether in business, art, or service, has been shaped by the power of direction. The individual who sets a goal has already achieved something extraordinary. They have decided. And in that decision lies momentum, for life itself seems to favor the determined. To set a goal is to make a covenant with oneself. It is an act of faith. Faith that the vision held within the mind can be made manifest in the world. The moment you write down your aim, you transform a mere thought into a point of focus. The written word serves as anchor and reminder, holding you steady when winds of doubt arise. Those who commit their goals to paper seldom forget them. They are etched into both page and consciousness. And the mind, given a clear command, begins its quiet, tireless work of finding pathways, solutions, and associations that lead to fulfillment. It is as though an unseen guide awakens, whispering, "There is the way, then is the foundation of achievement." Vague goals produce vague results. To say, "I want success," is to aim at nothing. Success means different things to different people. But to declare, "I will build a business that serves others with integrity and earns freedom for my family," is to light a torch upon the path. The clearer the image, the sharper the focus, the stronger the pull. The human mind thrives on specificity. It must see, feel, and grasp the vision to mobilize its vast potential. Yet a goal without action is only a dream deferred. Once direction is set, discipline must take the helm. The goal gives meaning, action gives substance. Step by step, brick by brick, the invisible becomes visible. The road may be long, but each step taken in faith strengthens resolve. Those who persist discover a profound truth: progress itself becomes fuel. Each small victory builds momentum, and momentum once gained carries one farther than strength alone. But goals do more than chart achievement. They shape character. To pursue a worthy aim demands patience, perseverance, and self-mastery. The person striving toward a meaningful end learns to manage time, temper emotion, and sustain focus. In reaching for something beyond themselves, they become more than they were. Thus, the true reward of a goal is not the prize obtained, but the person formed in the pursuit. Every challenge encountered, every delay endured, chisels the spirit into greater strength and wisdom. It is vital also to align goals with purpose. Not all desires are worthy of pursuit. Some glitter yet lead only to emptiness. A worthy goal uplifts not only the individual, but also those touched by their effort. When one's objective serves a greater good, to build, to teach, to heal, to create, the universe seems to conspire in assistance. Motivation deepens when meaning anchors it. For it is one thing to chase personal gain, and another entirely to labor for a cause that endures beyond oneself. There will be moments when the goal feels distant, when the path wins and progress slows. In those moments, the mind must return to the image, clear, unwavering, alive. Visualize it often. Feel the emotion of its attainment. Let that vision be as real to you now as it will be when fulfilled. The imagination is not fantasy. It is the blueprint of destiny. What the mind sees with conviction, the world eventually sees with clarity. And so, as each day begins, ask not merely, "What must I do?" but "Toward what am I moving?" For action without direction is exhaustion. Direction without action is illusion. Unite the two, vision and effort, and you harness the law of purpose. Set your compass by a worthy star, hold fast to it in fair weather and foul, and let no detour distract you. In time, as surely as dawn follows night, you will arrive at the destination once only dreamed. There is a quiet power that separates those who dream from those who achieve, those who wish from those who will. It is not brilliance, nor talent, nor the favor of fortune. It is discipline, the steadfast companion of every enduring success. Discipline is the invisible architecture upon which greatness is built. It is the silent force that carries a person forward when excitement fades and obstacles rise. While enthusiasm ignites the journey, it is discipline that ensures arrival. It demands no applause, seeks no recognition, yet it shapes destinies more than inspiration ever could. Discipline is the act of choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. It is the refusal to be ruled by moods, distractions, or fleeting desires. Every individual is faced daily with two paths, the one of ease and the one of effort. The first promises rest but yields regret. The second demands labor but delivers reward. The disciplined mind understands that success is seldom dramatic. It is the accumulation of small, consistent victories. The choice to act when others delay, to persist when others surrender, to improve when others settle. Each repetition strengthens resolve, and resolve in time becomes character. Many wait for motivation before taking action, believing they must feel ready to begin. But motivation is a guest. It arrives when it pleases and leaves without warning. Discipline, however, is a resident. It wakes before dawn, works when tired, studies when bored, saves when tempted, and builds when no one is watching. It does not depend on inspiration, it creates it. The one who learns to act regardless of feeling gains mastery not only over their work but over themselves. And self-mastery is the root of all freedom. In the quiet hours when no one applauds, discipline is at work. It is the student who reviews notes long after others have closed their books, the craftsman who refines his skill long after others have gone home, the entrepreneur who plans carefully while others daydream. These moments of unseen effort may appear small, even trivial, but they are the very bricks of achievement. For greatness is not forged in a single act, but in the daily rhythm of diligence. Each day, each choice, each act of will lays another stone upon the foundation, and one day, others will look upon the structure built and call it success, though they never witnessed its construction. Discipline also demands sacrifice, for every step toward one vision requires turning away from another. The undisciplined scatter their energy across countless pursuits, never committing fully to one. The disciplined select carefully and devote wholly. They understand that to do one thing well often means saying no to many things done half-heartedly. Sacrifice, then, is not loss but investment, a trade of the lesser for the greater, the momentary for the meaningful. And though it may feel costly in the short term, its returns are immeasurable. The rewards of discipline extend beyond achievement, they reach into every corner of life. The disciplined eater enjoys health. The disciplined thinker enjoys clarity. The disciplined saver enjoys security. Order replaces chaos. Confidence replaces doubt. Each area of mastery reinforces the next. For discipline is a universal principle. It cannot exist in isolation. He who trains his body trains his mind. She who disciplines her time disciplines her destiny. Challenges will come as they must. Fatigue will whisper, rest. Doubt will murmur, quit. Temptation will shout, take the easy road. Yet discipline stands firm, unmoved, guided by vision rather than emotion. It reminds the wary traveler why they began, rekindles the flame when it flickers, and holds fast the hand that trembles. And in those moments of testing, when one chooses principle over pleasure, the soul grows stronger. For discipline is not punishment, it is preparation. It molds the individual into one capable of carrying the weight of success. In time, the disciplined life becomes a life of ease, not because the world grows softer, but because the person grows stronger. Tasks once daunting become natural. Temptations once powerful lose their hold. What was once a struggle becomes second nature, for habit takes root where willpower once stood. This is the quiet reward of consistent effort, the transformation of discipline from burden to blessing. And so each day offers a simple yet profound decision, to be governed by impulse or guided by intention. The first leads to fleeting pleasure and lasting regret, the second to fleeting struggle and lasting fulfillment. Choose the second. For the road of discipline, though narrow at the start, widens with every step, revealing horizons unseen by those who turn back too soon. Every life that shines brightly has discovered a truth as ancient as civilization itself, that prosperity is not the result of taking, but of giving. The world does not reward mere ambition or demand, it rewards value. And value flows through service. The individual who devotes themselves to meeting the needs of others, to solving real problems, and to enriching the lives they touch, sets in motion a current of abundance that inevitably returns to its source. Wealth, in all its forms, is the echo of contribution. The measure of one's fortune mirrors the measure of one's usefulness. To serve is to step beyond the narrow confines of self-interest and into the boundless realm of significance. It is to say, how can I make life better for another? How can I use what I have, my mind, my hands, my talents, to create something of worth? This question, asked with sincerity and acted upon with diligence, becomes the seed of prosperity. The baker who strives not merely to sell bread but to nourish his community, the teacher who labors not merely to instruct but to inspire, the merchant who trades not merely for profit but for trust. Each has discovered that wealth is not the goal but the byproduct of genuine service. When one commits to serving well, a transformation takes place. Work ceases to be drudgery and becomes devotion. Every task, no matter how humble, gains dignity when performed with excellence. The sweep of a floor, the stroke of a pen, the sound of a voice, all can become instruments of greatness when guided by a spirit of service. Those who take pride in their labor, who treat each interaction as an opportunity to uplift rather than exploit, cannot help but rise. The marketplace, ever watchful, rewards such individuals with loyalty, trust, and opportunity. Service demands empathy, the ability to see through the eyes of others. It asks us to listen, not merely to reply, but to understand, to feel the needs, frustrations, and hopes of those we serve is to uncover the very blueprint of value. From this awareness springs innovation, improvement, and inspiration. The inventor who observes a need creates tools that ease burdens. The artist who understands emotion creates works that stir hearts. The leader who perceives potential cultivates greatness in others. Every breakthrough, whether in commerce, science, or art, is born from the simple act of asking, "What does the world need, and how can I contribute to it?" But service is not limited to grand gestures or monumental achievements. It lives in the small, consistent acts that weave the fabric of a meaningful life. A kind word, a patient ear, a helping hand. These are the building blocks of goodwill, and goodwill, once earned, is wealth of the highest order. Many overlook these quiet contributions, searching instead for opportunities that glitter. Yet it is the accumulation of small services that establishes a legacy far greater than any single triumph. Those who make service a habit soon find themselves surrounded by allies, supported by goodwill, and uplifted by a reputation that precedes them. True service is given freely, not as manipulation but as expression. It does not ask, "What will I get?" but trusts that giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin. Just as the farmer does not question whether the seed will yield a harvest, for the law is certain, so too can the one who serves trust that return is inevitable. Not always immediate, not always in expected form, but always in measure to the sincerity and excellence of the gift. To serve well, one must also grow continually. A stagnant mind cannot offer fresh value. The more we learn, the more we can give, the more we improve, the more we can uplift. Self-development becomes a duty, not for vanity, but for utility. By refining our skills, deepening our understanding, and broadening our perspective, we enhance our capacity to serve. And as our capacity expands, so too does our reward. The person who invests in personal growth is like a well-fed spring, ever ready to refresh those who come seeking. Service at its heart is the truest expression of leadership. To lead is not to command, but to contribute, not to demand obedience, but to inspire trust. The greatest leaders are servants first, those who see beyond their own gain and labor for the upliftment of all. They understand that success shared is success secured. The empire built on service endures because it rests on the unshakable foundation of goodwill. In the end, prosperity flows to those who make themselves indispensable, not through cunning but through care. The one who solves problems, who brings light to dark corners and ease to heavy loads, need never worry about scarcity. For the law of compensation is constant: give more than you take, and you will receive more than you gave. The surest way to advance in life is not to chase reward, but to become the kind of person the world cannot do without, one whose service enriches all it touches. Within every human being lies a silent kingdom, vast, unseen, and infinitely creative. It is from this inner world that the outer world takes its shape. The greatest mistake one can make is to search for transformation outside, in circumstances, possessions, or approval, when the true power rests within the boundaries of thought. All wealth, all progress, all achievement begins in the invisible realm of the mind. The outer life, with its successes and failures, its joys and disappointments, is but a mirror reflecting the inner state. To change the reflection, one must first alter the source. Many spend their years rearranging externals, seeking new jobs, new surroundings, new companions, believing that these adjustments will bring fulfillment. Yet they remain restless, for they have not addressed the true cause. The seed of every condition, pleasant or painful, lies within the soil of consciousness. A fearful mind fashions fearful outcomes. A confident mind constructs pathways of possibility. The law is simple and impartial as within, so without. The person who tends carefully to their inner world discovers that life itself begins to align accordingly. Transformation of the mind begins with awareness. One must become the observer of thought, recognizing that not every idea that drifts across consciousness deserves residence. Thoughts are visitors, some bring gifts, others bring burdens. To accept each one without discernment is to surrender sovereignty. The wise individual learns to examine thoughts as a gatekeeper examines travelers, asking, will this belief uplift or diminish me? Will it lead toward growth or decay? In time, this practice cultivates clarity. The mind becomes a garden, and the gardener, through vigilance, ensures that only fruitful seeds take root. Such awareness reveals the quiet truth that thoughts are not passive wisps of imagination, they are active forces. Every sustained idea impresses itself upon character and conduct. Think long enough upon courage, and courage becomes habit. Dwell persistently on lack, and actions unconsciously align with limitation. This is why renewal cannot be achieved through fleeting inspiration. A single moment of enthusiasm cannot override years of negative conditioning. True transformation demands consistency, a daily choice to nurture thoughts of strength, gratitude, and abundance until they replace the worn patterns of fear and doubt. The process is not without struggle. The mind, like any instrument long neglected, resists sudden mastery. Old habits formed through repetition cling stubbornly, yet persistence wears down resistance. Each time one redirects a thought from complaint to gratitude, from worry to faith, from envy to admiration, the neural paths of limitation weaken while those of possibility strengthen. Gradually, the tide turns. The once undisciplined mind becomes an ally rather than an adversary. It begins to generate ideas of progress, to perceive opportunity where before it saw only obstruction. As the inner atmosphere changes, so too does behavior. For thought is the architect, but action is the builder. No transformation is complete until the new mindset expresses itself through conduct. The person who sees themselves as capable takes initiative. The one who envisions abundance shares generously. The one who believes in purpose works diligently. These outward expressions reinforce the inward belief, forming a virtuous cycle. Each right action confirms the truth of the new self-image, and each confirmation deepens conviction. The mind, properly trained, becomes a compass pointing unfailingly toward growth. It no longer drifts upon currents of opinion or fear, but steers steadily toward vision. Such a mind interprets adversity not as punishment but as instruction, recognizing that difficulty refines strength just as fire tempers steel. When setbacks come, as they must, the transformed thinker asks, what lesson lies hidden here? How might this shape me for greater good? In this way, even hardship becomes a servant of progress. It is essential, too, to surround oneself with influences that reinforce the higher ideal. Just as a seed requires fertile soil, light, and water, so too does the mind require nourishing input. Books that inspire, conversations that elevate, environments that encourage. These are the sustenance of mental renewal. The individual who immerses themselves daily in constructive ideas fortifies their inner fortress against the siege of negativity. They begin to radiate calm assurance, becoming a beacon to those still lost in the fog of doubt. In time, transformation of the mind brings with it transformation of destiny. New attitudes yield new habits shape new realities. The outer conditions once viewed as immutable begin to shift, drawn into harmony with the inner vision. Opportunities appear, relationships flourish, health improves, and prosperity flows, not as isolated miracles, but as natural consequences of a renewed consciousness. The person who once felt powerless discovers themselves to be the master, not the victim of circumstance. To awaken this truth is to awaken to life itself, for the mind, rightly used, is both the origin and the architect of all progress. When it is governed by purpose, guided by gratitude, and disciplined by thought, it becomes the fountain from which all abundance springs. And from that fountain, every action, every achievement, every joy flows naturally, reflecting the beauty and order first cultivated within. And so, the great journey of transformation begins and ends within the borders of the mind. Every change in fortune, every step toward prosperity, every moment of peace and fulfillment springs first from a single decision. To think differently, to believe differently, to live deliberately. Wealth, in its truest sense, is not a number written on paper, but a reflection of the harmony between thought, purpose, and action. When a person takes command of their inner world, The outer world cannot help but yield in response. The principles are simple, eternal, and unfailing. What we think, we become. The attitude we hold becomes the atmosphere of our days. The goals we set draw our energy into direction. The discipline we practice molds intention into achievement. The service we give transforms effort into abundance. And the mindset we cultivate shapes the destiny we create. These are not mere ideas to admire, but tools to be used. Instruments through which anyone, regardless of background or beginning, may build a life of meaning, wealth, and purpose. Let this be the moment you turn inward and claim the authorship of your fate. For you are the thinker of your thoughts, the builder of your path, and the keeper of your potential. The world waits not for chance, but for choice, your choice, to rise above limitation and live with vision. As the mind transforms, so does the life it leads. And when thought is guided by truth, shaped by gratitude, strengthened by discipline, and expressed through service, the result can only be abundance. Transform your mindset, and you will transform your money. Transform your thoughts, and you will transform your world. The seed of greatness is already within you. Plant it wisely, tend it daily, and watch as life itself blossoms in answer to your design.